The heyday of department stores is over, as we see many of them close due to bankruptcies caused by heavy competition and unfortunate events. So far on this channel, we covered over a total of 50 defunct department stores, along with grocery stores, drugstores, bookstores, and electronics. However, one company we can't forget are the Bon Ton stores that played a significant role in the regional retail landscape, operating stores in the Northeast, Midwest, and Great Plains region. Throughout its history, it operated subsidiary chains we all may remember, such as Carson's, Elder-Beerman Younkers, and more. Today, we will be going over a list of the top 10 defunct Bon Ton stores that are no longer around. Now, without any further ado, let's get started.
Hey, Lois, how about we try Sears? They got good stuff.
Peter, nobody's been in Sears for decades.
Oh, come on.
Number 10. Watt&Shand. Watt&Shand was founded in 1879 by Robert Watt and Robert Shand in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Years prior, the founders operated the chain under New York store until their business partner, Gilbert Thompson, passed away. The store started as a small dry goods establishment, offering a variety of goods such as clothing, fabrics, houseware, and more. The company moved into a building located at 8 through 10 East King Street in downtown Lancaster, which expanded throughout the years. By 1991, the downtown store was 220,000 square feet, cobbled together from 7 different buildings. In 1970, a second Watt&Shand store opened at Park City Center as one of the anchor tenants, which enabled the company to survive the exodus of large department stores in downtown Lancaster. The Bon Ton purchased Watt&Shand in 1992 for an undisclosed amount. It was reported that workers weren't notified ahead of time, leaving many wondering about the safety of their jobs. Bon Ton would ultimately rename the stores the following year, ending Watt&Shand after 114 years in operation. The downtown location of the former Watt&Shand would close in 1995 after 3 years of profit losses. In 1999, the downtown building was added to the National Register of Historic Places and currently sits at a Marriott hotel. Number 9. Chappell's. Chappell's was Syracuse, New York-based family-owned chain of retail stores, opening its doors in 1896 and continued in operation until 1994. It operated 10 locations in Syracuse, Cortland, Watertown, and Massena areas at its peak. In Midtown Syracuse, there was also a standalone shop. The company filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in January 1992, closing 4 locations as part of the restructure. Under pressure from debtors, CEO Charles A. Chappell Jr., the owner's grandchild, sold the firm and the following 6 locations to Bon Ton retailers in 1994 for $7.9 million. Bon Ton continued to run Chappell's as a distinct business until the first of the year. Number 8. AM&A's. AM&A's, which stood for Adam, Meldrum, and Anderson Company, was a department store based out of Buffalo, New York. It was founded in 1867 as Adam, Meldrum, and Whitting at 308-310 Main Street. 10 years later, William Anderson joined the company after Whitting departed, and it was renamed Adam, Meldrum, and Anderson. The company would eventually move into a new flagship store at 389 Main Street, in the building formerly occupied by J.N. Adam & Co. in 1960, after relocating from its former flagship store across the street, which now sits in the current site of the Main Place Mall. AM&A's would open in many major malls that were erected throughout suburban Buffalo, such as Southgate Plaza, Thruway Mall, Walden Galleria, and the list goes on. In 1994, Bon Ton would purchase AM&A's for $38.5 million, and just like Chappell's chain we mentioned earlier on the list, it continued to be run as a distinct business until the first of the year. On February 20th, 2009, the former flagship store complex, which was shuttered after being acquired by Bon Ton, was added to the National Register of Historic Places as the J.N. Adam AM&A Historic District. Number 7. Bergner's. P.A. Bergner & Co. was a high-end department store in the Midwest that was founded by Peter Allen Bergner in 1889. It started in downtown Peoria, Illinois, in a famous redstone building that stood at the corner of Adams at Fulton Streets. It wasn't until the 1950s that a second location opened in the then suburban Sheridan Village shopping center. Bergner's grew robustly in the late 1970s and 1980s after acquiring 8 stores from the Meyer Brothers Company and Boston Store. In 1991, Bergner's filed for bankruptcy and exited Chapter 11 in 1993 with the new name Carson, Pirie, Scott & Co. and became a publicly traded company. The company would be later purchased by Profits, later Saks Incorporated, in 1998, which sold it to Bon Ton in 2005, which had 14 locations under the Bergner's nameplate. After parent company Bon Ton filed for bankruptcy, all stores were closed after 128 years of operation. Number 6. Herberger's. Herberger's began in 1927 when G.R. Bob Herberger opened his first store in Osakis, Minnesota. By 1972, it grew to 11 stores in 4 states with its headquarters in downtown St. Cloud, Minnesota. Profits Inc., later Saks Incorporated, acquired G.R. Herberger Inc. in 1997 at a stock deal valued at approximately $160 million, and it eventually became part of the corporation's Northern Department Store Group. The earlier logo featured a rose, followed by Herberger's name written in cursive, before being updated with the 6-hexagon logo carried by most Bon Ton divisions. When parent company Bon Ton filed for bankruptcy, all stores were closed for 10 to 12 weeks. Herberger's was relaunched when CSC Generations purchased Bon Ton Inc. and its associated brands and customers lists. On October 1, 2018, it was revealed that multiple Herberger's locations would potentially open or reopen around Minnesota, with the first store likely being in Rochester. As of this video, this has yet to materialize since Brand X acquired the company. Number 5. Boston Store. The Boston Store Inc. was founded in 1897 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Throughout the 1920s and 1930s, it was run by Philip Irving Stone before being sold to the Federated Department Stores in 1948. Under Federate, new branch stores were opened in several Wisconsin cities. Years later, it was passed to the Bergner's chains of Peoria, Illinois in 1984, which relocated its headquarters to Milwaukee. As mentioned before, Bergner's was absorbed into Profits Saks Northern Department Store Group, which was later sold to Bon Ton in 2006. The stores were later closed in 2018. Number 4. Elder-Beerman. The Elder-Beerman Store Corp. began in 1883 as the Boston Dry Goods Store in downtown Dayton, Ohio. It was founded by Thomas Elder, William Hunter Jr., and Russell Johnston, selling textiles, clothing, and groceries. It moved to a new location in an 11-story building, the Ray Bowl Building, in 1896 and operates there as the Elder and Johnston Company department store for over 60 years. Fast forward to the 1960s, Beerman Stores, founded by Arthur Beerman in 1945, merged with the Elder and Johnston Company to form Elder-Beerman. The chain would begin to expand throughout western Ohio, competing with its Dayton-based rival, Reich's. Elder-Beerman has acquired 3 chains throughout its history: Cincinnati-based Moblet & Carew in 1978, Terre Haute, Indiana-based Mays in 1989, and Wheeling, West Virginia-based Stone & Thompson in 1998. At 68 stores, Elder-Beerman was acquired by the Bon Ton in 2003. At that point, Elder-Beerman was the 9th largest independent department store chain and had exited bankruptcy. Elder-Beerman CEO Bud Bergner would become CEO of Bon Ton a year later. In 2012, the Bon Ton began rebranding several Elder-Beerman stores to some of its other nameplates. Several in Michigan and Indiana were converted to Carson's or Younkers. This rebranding reduced the number of Elder-Beerman stores to 37, primarily in Ohio. Like the other stores on the list, Elder-Beerman was closed in 2018 after parent company Bon Ton filed for bankruptcy and closed all stores, including its subsidiaries. This ended the chain's 135-year existence. As of the making of this video, its website remains active with a "coming soon" advertisement. Number 3. Younker's. Younker's was founded as a general store in Keokuk, Iowa by 3 Polish-Jewish immigrant brothers in 1856. It wasn't until the 1920s that the company expanded by acquiring other department stores throughout Iowa. By 1978, Yonkers had 28 stores in 5 states. After a hostile takeover bid by Carson Pirie Scott was rejected in 1995, Yonkers shareholders agreed to a friendly merger by Profits Inc. of Knoxville, Tennessee. The merger was completed the following year in December 1996. Profit would later go on to take over Saks Fifth Avenue to form Saks Incorporated and would merge both Carson's and Yonkers operations. Saks sold Yonkers and its other Northern Department Store Group stores to Bon Ton Stores in a $1.1 billion deal that was completed on March 6, 2006. After parent company Bon Ton filed for bankruptcy, Yonkers closed its stores and shut down. Current parent company BrandX.com announced in 2022 that physical stores are set to open in 2023, but as of this video, no location has opened.
I say we may have to bring in our friend from Yonkers!
Number 2. Carson Pirie Scott & Co. Carson Pirie Scott & Co., also known as Carson's, was founded in 1854 as a dry goods store by Scotsman Samuel Carson and John Thomas Pirie, initially called Carson Pirie. John Edwin Scott, who operated a dry goods store in nearby Ottawa, Illinois, became the first partner, giving us the name we know today as Carson Pirie Scott & Co. The chain expanded in the 1960s by acquiring the 20-unit Block & Cool chain headquartered in Peoria. In 1989, Carson Pirie Scott & Co. was acquired by P.A. Bergner & Co., who operated the Bergners, Charles V. Weiss, Myers Brothers, and Boston store chains. P.A. Bergner & Co. would later file for bankruptcy in 1991, emerging from it in 1993 and changing its operating name to Carson Pirie Scott & Co. Profits Inc., later renamed Saks Incorporated, took over ownership of Carson Pirie Scott and Bergner's, along with Yonkers and Herberger's nameplates being operated as Saks Northern Department Store Group, NDSG, based in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. This group would later be put up for sale as Saks Incorporated tried to refocus itself primarily on its core Saks Fifth Avenue stores. Bon Ton Stores Inc. would purchase the group in a $1.1 billion deal completed on March 6, 2006. Bon Ton converted the Elder-Beerman stores in Indiana and Michigan to the newly shortened Carson's name in 2011 and 2012. The chain also expanded into Metro Detroit in 2013 with the conversion of 3 Parisian stores when Bon Ton's license from Belk to use the Parisian name expired, making the end of this former Alabamian upscale chain. All of Carson's location would cease operations in 2018 after parent company Bon Ton filed for bankruptcy. Number 1. Bon Ton. Bon Ton opened its doors in 1898 when Max Grumbacher and his father, Samuel, opened S. Grumbacher & Son, a one-room millinery and dry goods store on Market Street in York, Pennsylvania. The store chain had 2 additional locations under the name Bon Ton Millinery in Trenton, New Jersey by 1902. The name Bon Ton was drawn from a British term connoting the elite or high society. The company was incorporated as S. Grumbacher & Son Inc. in 1929 and remained a family business. Following World War I and II, the company expanded, moving outside Pennsylvania by acquiring Irely's in Hagerstown, Maryland. During the next 3 decades, the Bon Ton stores continued to expand by opening new stores and acquiring existing businesses. The Bon Ton store chain doubled in size in November 2005 with the $1.1 billion purchase of the 142 stores of Saks Northern Department Store Group, headquartered in downtown Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The newly acquired store group included Carson Pirie Scott, later branded as Carson's, Bergner's, Boston Store, Herberger's, and Younker's. From 2011 through 2017, the company did not post an annual profit, and it continued to worsen after it was delisted from the exchange after it was no longer in compliance with NASDAQ. In February 2018, the Bon Ton Stores Inc. filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection after revealing it had failed to pay $14 million in interest that had been due December 15th. Washington Prime Group and Namdar Reality Group would bid to save Bon Ton from bankruptcy, but the plan fell through all stores were eventually liquidated, and on September 10, 2018, CSC Generation agreed to pay $900,000 for Bon Ton's database of 24.5 million unique customer records and 5.6 million email addresses, as well as its trademarks and websites. One physical store reopened in Evergreen Park, Illinois, but closed in 2020. Currently, Bon Ton has been owned by New York-based BrandX.com since 2011 and is currently operated as an online retailer with plans of opening a physical store in the future. Well, this brings us to the end of our list today. Let me know in the comments below if you know of any other Bon Ton stores that have disappeared over the years, or if you recognized any of the ones we went over in the video. See you next time!